Okay, I'm trying again here. Hopefully, the internet connection will last this time. Yeah. So, the worst thing is when you start a live stream and after a few seconds it just cuts. But anyway, have you seen the ROIDcasters? I'm introducing a new word here. Um, I think they deserve a name for themselves. The ROIDcasters. I'm referring to these podcasters who are clearly on steroids. Have you seen them? And they are talking about, they are kind of sitting there giving life advice, how to be a man and how to relate to women, how to be successful in life, and they're so wise and all of that. But also they all look like, you know, what is commonly referred to as roiders or people on steroids, right? Um, and it's like it to me it kind of it feels so fake when these people come across as so fake when they sit there and they talk about masculinity, and their masculinity is a result of synthetic substances. They have no, I mean, how that works is that, you know, it's their own production of testosterone is nearly zero, and these people, I've noticed they are men in their 40s and 50s, and they have probably been on this for their entire adult life, for most of it, and they can never go off it because they have ruined their hormonal balance. There is no balance there. And I'm going to call them ROIDcasters. And I feel that we kind of need to call these people out. And in full disclosure, I'm Norwegian. I am a powerlifter in the IPF, International Powerlifting Federation. I do not accept the use of these like steroids and stuff like anabolic steroids and stuff like that, except of course in those are used for elderly people sometimes, and in cancer patients when they are to aid their recovery. I'm not talking about the medical cases, okay? I want to make that clear. Not talking about the medical cases. Also, there are like old people can benefit from this. So, but I'm not a doctor, so I'm just saying that I'm not talking about the medical cases, and I'm not a doctor. I'm talking about these people who have been taking this just to get bigger muscles. Okay. Just to make that clear. And it comes across as not only fake, but also it's basically it's mainly fake, because they are ruining their health while they are also making it easier to be energetic and muscular. Okay, so we know quite a bit about the effects of anabolic steroids and similar substances. It's not healthy. if you're if you're not old, and if you're fairly active, there is no reason why you should take substances, allow substances like that into your body. What this is about is people's inability to accept that we are different. Now, I could never be a talent. I'm not a talented long distance runner. I'm not, because it's my genetic makeup or whatever. I'm not that kind of person. I can lift heavy stuff, so I enjoy that. But what we are seeing is that these people who do not have talent, and I've seen it countless times up through the years, they come into the gym, they do not have the same progress as someone like, well, someone who is more talented in that regard. So they start taking steroids because they can't accept that we are different. They can't accept that some people will spend many, many more years building up those muscles, if that's your goal. Also, why the hell would it be a goal to look like a bodybuilder? Why? Why would that be a goal? Why would anyone want that? I think we can trace this to like celebrities, movies. If you watch the action movies from Hollywood, the leading man will normally be uh, someone on steroids. And I mean, this is so rampant in that industry that it needs to be called out. We have obvious examples, like uh, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. That's an obvious example. But there are many others as well. And you see they bragging about this in social media. Oh, and even women, you know, oh, he put on 20 kilos, 20 pounds in 3 months to play in this sport. Well, okay, if he did that, then that was through using steroids, because you don't do that. It's impossible to do that in a natural way. You can't do that. Well, if you're 15-year-old boy, you can do that. But a grown man, and these are normally men in their 40s, no, you can't do that. It's not possible. Yeah, Chris Hemsworth is another obvious example. He's got typical steroid body. That's exactly how you will look. So they are sending a signal, especially to young boys, about how you're supposed to look if you want to be successful in life and seen as attractive. This is very harmful. And these ROIDcasters are essentially doing the same. Now, I feel like I want to throw up when I hear those ROIDcasters talking about motivation. How you should go to the gym and be energetic and just, go for it, go for all your goals. It's fucking easy if you're constantly on a massive amount of artificial testosterone. Of course it's easy. It's now obviously I don't have personal experience with this, but I have seen it. I have been as part of the national powerlifting team, and also as a coach. I've had Anti-Doping Norway, the people from that anti-doping organization, coming, and they have to the gym, and they've been doing lectures about this, like presenting the real facts. Of course people get motivated, of course. Carl Siren has a very good point here. Check out Carl's channel, by the way. Carl Siren says, they usually get quite mad when I compare them to folks who change their gender, artificially being something you're not. They're not. That's a very good comparison. That's a very good comparison. Now, we are not supposed to look like Dwayne Johnson. We're not supposed to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger being one of the biggest liars in that industry, by the way. We're not supposed to look like that. It's hilarious when these people are casted, like actors, they're casted in a movie where the story is, like Viking Age or like in the past. Because if you looked like that back then, you would not survive. People don't realize the amount of food you have to eat to look like that. You would starve and die and freeze to death because of the very low body fat percentage that these people have. Now, I'm quite strong myself. I like to go to the gym. It's a very nice hobby and lifestyle, I would say, and I see some talents among the young people in the powerlifting club. This is a drug-free environment, so you can see the difference in people. You can see that some guys have a talent for building muscle, getting strong, more than others. That's just how it is. But you have to. I'm getting back to the topic here very soon, but I just want to say that people don't realize how long it takes to get really big and really strong. I was at my strongest ever at the age of 39. And I've been training with weights since I was 13. I reached a raw in the gym, that is, not in competition, but 190 kilos bench press at the age of 39. So it took me, decades to reach that bench press record. When it comes to my squat, maybe even my deadlift, I don't know. But I think I might be able now, in my 50s, to do an all-time personal record. I'm saying this not to brag. I'm saying this to just underline my point here. My point when it comes to strength and building muscle is that it takes a very long time. A very long time. It's not true that you will be strongest in your 20s either. It's not true. What we are seeing in powerlifting, in the drug-free, like IPF, that's a drug-tested federation, is that typically, there is some variation here, but typically people are at their strongest and biggest in their 30s because it takes time. Now, let's see here. Yes, let me also say that let me also add that, a couple of things. Social media, especially things like, I guess, TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but TikTok and Instagram, it's dominated by people on steroids, and also the girls. They are also on these steroids. I can tell, I can see it, because girls are not supposed to look like that. And I'm not even talking about bodybuilders. I'm talking about just, they call themselves gym girls, and they have this cut physique, and they're like they're like 20 years old. No, no. Maybe if you're 30 as a woman and you've been training since your teenage years, you can achieve that physique, but not in a couple of years. No. What else? There was one other thing I wanted to say. Let's see. Yeah, Carl, yes. Carl, I know that you are also one of the, you are lifting weights, obviously. So, and you write here that I hate how people on it usually are downplaying the effect of it. It's not about the steroids, you have to train harder and such BS. Yeah, it is. Now, I remember that was one of the elite gatherings. I'm calling it elite gatherings because that's a direct translation of what they called it back in the day. The people, the national team in Norway, we would gather for like weekends for technique training and so on, and lectures. And one of the lectures was about some results taken from, I think it was Eastern Europe, because it's not ethical to do research on this, because steroids are harming people, so we can't really give people that and do research on that, right? But in Eastern Europe, I think it was, they had done that. And if my memory serves me correct here, they had like 3 groups. One group got steroids only, and they did not train. One group got steroids, and they were training with weights. And one group, the third group, were training with weights, but no steroids. So the group that had the most development was the group who did steroids and weights. Can you guess which of those 2 other groups were on second? Was it the group that did steroids but did not train? Or was it the group that were training with weights but did not do steroids? Actually, number 2 there was the group who did steroids but did not lift weights. They got more development than those who were training just weights, with no steroids. And that tells us something about the effect of this. It's like if I wanted to get the help of a personal trainer, I would not want to get the help of someone who is using steroids, because they don't know what they're talking about. Okay, so these ROIDcasters, you know what? They sit there, they're all bald. Don't get me wrong. That's don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with being bald. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying that they have this typical. They all look the same. Like they're all bald, wide shoulders, like very exaggerated trapezius muscles, and they're sitting there and talking about motivation, life wisdom, and all of these things, which is good, but it would have been better if they had a life experience from a life without steroids. Because again, what these people will tell you is that it makes you into a machine. It makes you just go for it, go, go, go. It makes you aggressive. And that's another thing that should be talked about more. Roid rage. And how many women have been beaten up by these men when they are in roid rage? I don't know. Quite a lot. Quite a lot. And that's a big problem. We are seeing it in the crime statistics. I was thinking about one example. I can't. No, but yeah, you see it in the crime statistics. And it's quite common. These people will not admit it, but it's very, very common. Because it's not a big mystery why it happens, right? Because we're not talking about this being used as in a medical, like when your doctor says that you should use steroids because, or we will put you on steroids because of your health. We're not talking about that. In those cases, it's like you try to mimic how the hormone balance should be in your body, right? So the amount will be at the amount that you would have had if you were not sick, or things like that. That's what I'm trying to say. These people use a lot more, and it affects their mental health. I remember how a combination of that and narcotics as well, led to suicide in the gym where I was training when I was, very young. That was the guy who owned the gym. I didn't know at that time that he was on things like that, but because I was a teenager, and I just kept adding muscle like really fast. So I thought that, well, at this rate, I will be like huge in no time. So I actually did not expect. I didn't suspect any foul play from the older guys. I was so naive. I didn't. I thought that it was natural because I'm 16 and I'm putting on muscle like crazy, and so yeah, I'll probably look like that guy over there in a few years. So yeah, TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. It's a nicer word for what we're talking about here. I'm saying that for old people and people who are in the recovery phase after cancer and so on, it's very often recommended, but that it should be administered by a doctor. I do not support TRT if it's just a pretty name that you put on using steroids. I don't think that anyone should use that if they have tidied up their diet and their life, living a healthy life, lifting weights and being active, and your hormone level is quite normal, then I don't think you should use TRT. No, absolutely not. It's not healthy. Let's see here. Yeah, Carl says very, very few actually have clinically low testosterone on the level that it affects them. That is very true. And a lot of people who have low testosterone, they have low testosterone because they are putting toxins into their body, like alcohol. If you drink a lot, that will lower your testosterone. I believe also soy products will do that. Not sleeping enough, and so on. Stress, I believe. So now again, when it comes to these ROIDcasters, I think my intention here with this live stream is to introduce that name, ROIDcasters. So feel free to use that name for those people. Patricia, welcome as a member to the channel. Wonderful. Thank you. Elia says, my son just turned 16 and started working out this year. He too is putting on muscle like crazy. For him, though, it's genetic. My dad was very muscular naturally and did not have the roid look. Yeah, because it's a particular look, right? Yes, wonderful. That's great, but yeah, they do that at that age. They have naturally very high testosterone, and it's actually fascinating to watch those guys when they start training. Shonda says there's a needle bin for the roided folks at my local gym. Wow. That's really sad. That's really sad. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's have a general discussion about this. There are misconceptions about concepts like strength, like really, really strong people, like powerlifters, top level powerlifters. The people who, if you want to lift a maximum amount of weight, you're probably going to have to be a little bit fat. Okay. The guy with the big biceps and the six-pack belly will not be very strong normally. There are exceptions, like if you compete in the lower weight classes and you just cut weight to make that weight class, obviously, then that's different. But this idea that Chris Hemsworth was mentioned here. When you look at his body, he's not going to be very strong, because that physique goes against moving a lot of weight. And also, what is strength? Is it the ability to move a lot of weight? Well, some people would say that, but I've heard cyclists talking about strength, and they refer to strength like the ability to cycle up a hill without giving up. So it depends on where you come from, I guess. But most people would say strength is the ability to move a lot of weight. And for that reason, me as a powerlifter, I'm not going to claim that I'm like the strongest or something like that. I'm competing I'm training specifically to move weight in 3 specific ways, like the squat, the bench press, and the deadlift. And that's a proper deadlift, not a circus deadlift. So what I mean by that, it is a deadlift without hand wraps. So it's specific, you know. But yeah, also when it comes to building strength, what we know from proper research is that you only need a few main movements. Like they are referred to as full body movements. You don't need to get strong and big and strong. You don't need all the strange little exercises. That can be fun, and they have their place, I guess. But if your goal is to just put on muscle and get strong, you need exercises like the squat, the bench press, the deadlift, rows, heavy rows, some overhead presses. That's about it. So yeah. So okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to respond to some of the comments here. Yeah, Carl, yes, you are absolutely correct. You're writing that many American YouTubers talk about TRT, but in most other places, their doses would be classified as pure doping. Yes, yeah, it's just a pretty name for doping. Testosterone replacement therapy. That's actually when you go to the doctor and the doctor takes a blood sample and they tell you, okay, your testosterone level is very low. That's probably not healthy for you. So you need to tidy up your diet and sleep more and so on. And then you go back and you do that. And then they test that again. And you have to test several times, by the way, because it varies through the day. And if they still arrive at the conclusion that your testosterone level is very low, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not recommending anything here. But then your doctor might recommend, I will. Okay, I think I can say that. Then in that case, it might be a good idea to get artificial testosterone administered by a doctor to re-establish a healthy level. But these people you're referring to, Carl, yes, they're probably taking a lot more than that. And I think one of the best examples is this guy, Joe Rogan. He's been on what he calls testosterone replacement therapy for years. Of course, his testosterone is very low because he's also been using a certain drug for years, for many, many years, as far as I know. And it lowers your testosterone dramatically. So, of course, he will be using it. It doesn't want to give up that, I guess. So he just gets his testosterone artificially. By the way, the artificial testosterone, the molecule makeup of that is not actually exactly similar to the natural testosterone in your body. There's a difference there. It's not exactly the same. So let's see here. Yeah. There are some very good people on social media talking about strength training. I am not saying this to try to sell my training schedule or anything like that, but There is a link in the video description to um, reactive training systems, and there are others as well who they will probably not look as flashy as the guys with no shirt on. That's one of the things you can look for. The guy who actually knows what he's talking about will probably have his shirt on, not off, and he will probably not look as cut. They call it cut when you have very little body fat, because that's not natural, and it's actually not very healthy either. If you have a very low body fat percentage, like these people have, that in itself will inhibit your testosterone production, as will being fat will. Just carrying around a lot of body fat will inhibit. Well, it kind of traps and converts a lot of the testosterone in your body. So a healthy, functional physique is best. Yeah, Dana White, yeah, he's one of those guys, isn't he? Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. I'll try to stick to the topic here. Some of these names, Gred to Chet, I don't know who that is. Maybe I've seen him, but I don't pay notice to their names. I just see them everywhere on social media. Yeah. So I don't know. This is one of these cases, I guess, where people feel that they deserve this and that. I think that's what it boils down to. Oh, I deserve to have this physique because other people have it. And they disregard the fact that we are all different. Like, as I mentioned, I could never be a good long distance runner, I think. And the long distance runner would probably not be a talented powerlifter. There might be exceptions. I actually know one guy who is the exception. But we need to accept that we are all different. But I will add that it benefits everyone to lift weights. I think it's, well, scientifically, it has been scientifically proven that your specifically your leg strength is connected to longevity. If you approach old age with a good amount of muscle on you and a good amount of leg strength, statistically you will live longer and be healthier. So it's like putting money in a savings account, training weights, that is. So you put on muscle and you enter old age, so to speak, and you keep training. But then it gets a little bit more difficult, of course. But you will still have and maintain that muscle mass, and that will keep you healthy. Yeah, Orochi Fox there says the legs are vital. That's why walking is so essential. I think walking is the best exercise for recovery. I think, oh, I mean, we used to be told, I mentioned those weekends when the elite group in powerlifting here in Norway, we would gather, and it said in the program, they called it recovery exercise. And we knew that was walking around a lake, like a little lake next to the facilities there. So we had to walk around that lake. That was the recovery exercise. And they wanted us to go walking the days we were not lifting weights, at least. You know, it's again, scientifically proven. Walking is good for you. It's the best recovery exercise we know of. So yeah. Yeah, Carola says, and you can still start when you are old. Start today, if not yet. Yeah. Never too late. Never too late. Let's see here. Thomas is asking, why do you guys need so much muscle strength? Well, I think I just replied to that, actually. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the roiders, yeah, they tend to lose their hair. Yes. It's because there's it's not the testosterone that does it, actually. It's something that the body converts testosterone into, or responds to the testosterone the hormones. Yeah, I know it's not the testosterone itself. Yeah, I must say that even though some people are bald, well, it's quite common. Some men in their middle-aged men are, of course, bald. But I will say that it's among I'm a so-called masters powerlifter now, which is the older divisions. And I will say that now I'm obviously not bald, but among the other people, the other guys, some people are bald, some are not. It's quite like the average population, I would say. But I think if you went to a gym with, like with lots of these roiders, they would probably all be bald. So, yeah. Yes, Orochi Fox says the essential everyday task requires muscle strength. It's a crime that fitness is so recreational by general consensus. Yeah, I think that fitness and movement, using your body, having a positive attitude towards moving your body, that should be like prioritized in the workplace and in daily life, in society, in the culture. Your doctor should tell you, well, they probably do now, hopefully. If you go to the doctor, they should probably tell you that, are you active? Are you regularly walking, or are you going to the gym, and so on? Because we all should, Oh, that's really sad. The owner is pushing supplements towards the gym goers. That's not good. I think it should be criminal, actually. Well, it probably is. Yeah. Okay. So feel free to call these people ROIDcasters because they are podcasters on steroids in the literal sense. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, I have to. No, I'm not. Do you use any supplements? I I've started taking vitamins and some what's it called? Like ginkgo biloba and this root, it's Asian root and garlic and yeah, creatine. I know some people, they think, oh, you take creatine, that's like yeah, ginseng. No, creatine is something that you find in your food, especially in red meat and blueberries. It's a completely natural thing. No, not ashwagandha. No, ginseng. Yes, and a multivitamin and some extra zinc, magnesium. So yeah, but none of those things will have a dramatic effect. To build muscle, you have to be eating more calories than you burn. It is that simple. But anyway, okay. And by the way, in case, oh yeah, Norwegian cod liver oil also. Yes, absolutely. In case anyone is wondering, I have never ever used these like steroids and stuff like that. These illegal, well, at least they are illegal in sports, things. So yeah, cod liver oil is good for your brain health, obviously. Yes. Yeah, blueberries is difficult to get hold of with like they're sprayed, like the one you buy in the store. The big ones, they are. I don't buy that because they're sprayed with stuff. But in a few months, there will be lots of blueberries in the forest here. So, yeah. I'll make an effort to pick more blueberries this year. Okay. Yes. I think that's all for now. Speaking about calorie surplus, I need to go and get my breakfast now. So, yeah, wonderful. Stay healthy and active, and we will be talking soon. Okay, bye-bye.